Hey everybody, want to welcome you. My name is Jared Berglund. I'm the owner and a DJ, part of Pure Vision Entertainment. I'm sitting down here with my good friend Kyle, one of our DJs, otherwise known as DJ Eps. Welcome, buddy.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. You have had a long background with DJing and at private events, weddings, but it expands in a couple of decades now, I feel like. I want to give the listener and the person considering us a chance to get to know you. Tell us a little bit about all the opportunities you've had the chance to be a part of.
Toured for many years, so I got to be a part of like strange music. It was definitely a big part of my life for a while, and kind of went more into the corporate side of things and more weddings.
You've had the opportunity to tour with E40, Too Short, many West Coast hip hop artists and things like that. How did that all come about, and what was the reason that you were selected to be a part of that?
Because I'm like a turntablist, I think was a big thing, you know, in the hip hop world, to showcase like a skill, and you're kind of, it's all about like the DJ. Mm-hmm. So it's very much like, you know, look at me, I can do this really cool thing. But I feel like over the years, it's definitely changed. It's not so much about the DJ, it's more about your crowd, who you're playing for, and having an extensive knowledge on hip hop, and, you know, doing everything I could to get on those bills of, you know, whenever anybody come through town or come to Portland. I was one of the few DJs that had the skills and like the knowledge. It kind of all just intertwined and to get on those bills. And then it kind of started stacking over the years to where other artists started noticing me because of how much work I had done. And
I think hip hop is probably one of your favorites, but what all do you enjoy playing? You know, how deep is your bag, so to speak, on music?
Yeah, well, I definitely consider myself an open format DJ, but with the way that you DJ hip hop is obviously different than a lot of other genres. But I really enjoy EDM, a lot of bass heavy music, things that have like a heartbeat.
But I know that you can do country.
Oh, yes, and I can. And throughout the years, it's definitely shifted. I've done a few rodeos, and definitely not just hip hop anymore. You know, you're playing in mall settings where there's different age groups and people that are coming through there, and to try to touch on a little bit of everything from Motown to all the way up to the current dance hits and pop music, and everything you think of.
When you're DJing that type of crowd or in a, you know, wedding setting, how are you reading the crowd and adjusting as the event goes on?
Well, I take into account, you know, your age group, but I also focus on the dance floor itself, you know, like who's dancing, what songs are resonating with people. And I definitely am constantly looking up and to change it, because you also have to have different energy levels. You don't want to just have one consistent flow. It's very much an up and down, especially when it comes to weddings. It's not typical like club setting where, you know, you're 128 beats per minute the entire night. It's, you know, there's dips and dives, and you want to take people on like a musical journey, if you will.
Yeah. Very true. Is there a point in time within a wedding or a private event that you feel the most creative musically?
Definitely during like dancing. Once we get to like the dance portion of the night, after usually the formalities are out of the way, I get to kind of be a little bit more creative, definitely organize all my music for like what's appropriate for dinner, cocktail, and then save some of the more high energy music towards the end.
With the majority of our couples and clients being Gen Z or millennials, many of them are looking to have an experience that's more a curated event that's centered around them and their personalities. How do you go about planning and, you know, curating that with the couple, but while taking your knowledge and your experience to be able to take their event to another level?
The meetings prior to, I think that's really a huge part of it. Spending the time to meet with my couples, talk over what they're looking for. Usually with weddings, you have all age groups, but I like to be inclusive, you know, grandma to feel left out or aunts and uncles to be off on the side. It's very much creating those memories on the dance floor where everybody's dancing. They're not going to remember the song that is being played. They're going to remember how they were feeling at the end of the day. They're going to be like, wow, you know, like.
Now, what about a couple that's maybe doesn't have a clear idea of what they ideally want? You know, maybe they've got, hey, here's 5 or 6 of our favorite party songs, but we don't really party the most. We just like good music, and they're like, how we trust you. How do you work with those couples?
Over the years, doing many weddings, there's a core group of songs that I've seen work. And so it's like tried and true. Like I know this one works. And especially for this age group, I can work those in. Very similar to what you see on like Spotify, you type in an artist and it gives you like artists similar. I mean, I use those as well. Those are very good, great tools. But over the years, I know, hey, if you like this artist, you would also like this artist because it's very much came out in the same time period. The instruments used to create these music, 80s music sounds very different because of the tools they had available to make that music, as opposed to like the 2000s where they had different synthesizers and beat machines and drum machines. And so understanding, I guess, the backside of things and how things were created helps me determine how to weave through these songs.
Obviously, once you get a crowd going, you kind of got them in the palm of your hands. You can kind of take them anywhere across the musical journey that you want to. What is your approach to building a dance floor? Because many of times, if we're speaking into a wedding, we're coming off of a heavy dinner sometimes, maybe there's 3, 4, 5, upwards of 6 different toasts. Maybe a couple of them got very emotional. You've got potentially a mother-daughter and a father-daughter dance that could be crying or something like that. How do you go about changing that atmosphere and building the dance floor for the first 30 minutes to get folks energized and moving around?
I like to hit them with like a very familiar song right off the get, something that's inclusive to all age groups, everybody. I get as many people out on the dance floor, changing the mood, obviously, and then I usually try to hit them with a few bangers, if you will, the hits. So that way I gain people's trust. They're like, wow, okay, he knows his stuff. He's doing great. And then you can start making switches as far as like energy levels and dropping tempos and beats. Take them on those like breaks, if you will. So that way they start trickling out and they're going to go grab a drink, but then that way they come back and understanding, I guess, the flow of a dance floor.
Absolutely. One of the things that I appreciate about you that I've come to know over the years with you, organization is huge for us. But the average couple does not know the organization that a DJ has to go through when it comes to music organization, proper tagging of their systems and their program and everything like that. What is your processes in working with a couple, and how does that apply to your pre-preparation for an event within your DJ software and things like that, so you are organized? Because as you know, we get things thrown at us left and right throughout an event. So tying all that together, what's your process look like there in order for preparation to make sure it's the most successful event?
That's where, like obviously the pre-meetings are great. I gain as much knowledge as I can as far as my couple is, that I know that their core group of friends are going to understand like, oh, these songs were popular during that time. In my software, as far as organization, I have everything figured out by year as well as genre. So I understand it's a lot of those pre-meetings that I gain all the knowledge, and then I can feed it through my software to where I can figure out.
Do you have a DJ style that you feel like you fall into? We work with so many different types of couples. Some are very traditional. Some want us to take them to the club without necessarily bringing the club to the wedding. Some want Coachella and Tomorrowland. What is your style?
I would say like high energy club is very much the style that I like and I'm very good at. But that's not to say that on like a Coachella, like EDM over the top, it's very much stuff that people recognize and can sing along to. I like to play a lot of those kind of songs.
Keeping to the planning part of things, how do you make couples feel comfortable along the planning process journey so that way they don't have worries coming into their day? Obviously, I know you're going to meet with them, you're going to have a conversation, but how do you make sure that they just feel connected to you?
After I gain all of the information from my meeting, I like to leave the doorway open. I give them my personal cell phone numbers and texts, and that way, after the fact, things can change. After that final meeting, little details change, and it's great to be able to like pull up those threads and be able to go through all that information. And that way, they can see that it's an open communication and they get what they want.
The music is only a small aspect of most private events and weddings. I think one of the bigger aspects that is not as talked about as much is the MC piece. What is your style on being an MC, and how do you approach that with the different types of events that you do?
It really depends, because different couples, some want really over the top, energetic, cracking jokes in between, but some are, it is a very traditional ceremony, it is a very traditional thing to be doing. So some want a very straightforward, very by the book.
You just got to keep things, very traditional. And, there's just some of them are just more reserved couples. I think a good way to put it is you have to match their personalities.
Yes, definitely matching personalities is a big part of it.
So I'm going to challenge you here. Obviously, you've done a ton of different events and weddings over the years. Is there one memory that stands out more than the others that you can recall?
Yes, actually, I had a wedding, very specific one that I had. Both sides of the family were not getting along. They weren't on board with the marriage, but these two were very much in love. They wanted it to happen, so they made it happen. And you could tell they had a last final song. Everybody left and they were all waiting outside, and I guess playing that final song and seeing them like break down to each other. Very emotional. I don't know, it kind of like stuck with me and made me like realize this is why I do it, these moments, they loved that they were able to have that break at the very end after all the craziness and the madness of families feuding throughout the night, that they could have this one moment that was theirs, completely theirs. And yeah, it really stuck with me, I guess.
I love that. What's one of the brazier negative things that you've come across at a wedding? And, was it something that you had to overcome an obstacle?
I've had a couple different things happen. Obstacles, not necessarily of my doing, but like one time I had set up, they wanted me to be, it was an outdoor wedding and there was no cover. As the dance floor opened up and everybody was dancing, it started pouring rain and we had to shut down, and all the groomsmen helped me move everything under the tented area and we crammed it all in there. Wasn't the prettiest setup at the very end, but I just remember the first song I played was Umbrella by Rihanna. And they were laughing. We were all soaking wet, but it was just like taking those notes of like the situation, what's going on, how can I make light of this? Let's keep this party going, considering we had to stop it and then start it up again. So building a dance floor all over, a hard obstacle to overcome. And we made it work and they loved it. They actually have been repeat customers.
That's awesome. I love that. That's great. Umbrella. That's great. Now, one question I do want to ask you, this is not to say that Pure Vision is the best entertainment company out there, but you've had the opportunity to work with a couple of different companies before coming to us. What do you feel like makes us different?
How in depth we go as far as learning about our couples, between the Vibo app that we use, that they're able to input information about music, which obviously that's what I need it for, the background, when they met. There's sometimes you can find those key moments in those informational bits that we get.
It's funny how those things that many couples think about, the big moments, the first dance, family dances, what I'm going to walk down the aisle to, but it's moments like, the very first time you had a slow dance with your significant other, on your fourth date, or the sing along on the road trip or whatever like that. Exactly. That's just become your song. Those are the moments in the songs where I feel like we can create a moment inside of your wedding, and it may only be significant to you two, or maybe it was the bar song y'all met at Oregon State, exactly. with your wedding party or something like that. But it's like those are those extra moments that you remember for a long time.
Yep.
If you could tell any of our future couples that are watching, as they're looking into and evaluating DJs, what's one or two pieces of advice you would give them in their search for a DJ?
Finding the right DJ for your event, obviously a tricky thing, but finding someone that has the same style of music that you like is very key. If you want somebody that's very high energy, that is going to bring like a very much a dance vibe to it, a good fit for that. But I've had some where there's language barriers and there's different things that come up and I may not be the right guy for you. So I think doing that on their side, looking into each DJ and finding who's the right fit for them. And you've actually done a great job with pairing me with a lot of my couples. So I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you.
You are very talented in that aspect. Seems like a lot of them, I get a lot of great couples that I long-term relationships with because it was such a good match and they loved my style because it worked.
That's a big thing when you can admit that, because many of times DJs will just take an event on or a wedding on just because it's something to pay the bills or anything like that. But when you get to the part where you can realize that you're not everyone's cup of tea,
exactly,
I feel like it puts them above you and their best interests at heart.
Exactly, because that's what it's about. It's their day. I want to make sure that it's catered to each couple and and each one is very different from the previous.
Final question. I'm a groom looking to hire a DJ. Why should I hire DJ Eps?
Because I will keep a good flow. I think it's very important to manage a timeline. That's very important in that industry as far as weddings go. So I will definitely keep things on point, and we'll make sure to get through all our formalities and all our things before our photographers leave, before our videographers leave. Any of those things, I'm very much sticking to timelines. I'm great at reading a dance floor, finding out, what works, what doesn't work, but also giving people breaks and those down slow songs, create those moments. I think that's what I'm really good at, is curating those unique situations.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate it, my friend.
Thank you.